Hey, what's going on, guys? So first off, I want to say thanks so much for watching this video. And I'll give you a little bit of an intro on what this whole thing is, because this is video one of what my plans are, many to come. So, I'm a husband, father of 7 kids. My wife and I are a blended family. Our oldest just turned 21 and our youngest is 6. And the whole point of what I've wanted to do is, and inspiration from a friend of mine, is create kind of a documentation, and document my journey as a dad and some of the struggles that I face. There's a lot of great information out there, but I think a lot of it is not like in the trenches. And what I'm doing is just going to really share what I'm going through, the struggles, the challenges, the successes that I have, and the questions that I ask myself on a daily basis, and, record them, and the things that I'm learning and how I'm building a better relationship, becoming a better man myself, a better husband, a better father, building a better relationship with myself, my wife, and all of my kids. And a lot of this started, it's been an ongoing thing, but it was definitely something more recent. There was, I think, some catalysts, if you want to call them that. One of them being a conversation my wife and I were having recently, and as parents, I'm sure you can attest to this, is, there's no rule book, there's no guidebook. Let's say when you have a kid and you're like, hey, here's what you do in this situation. And some of the struggles that I've faced with it, and I don't know if you want to call them struggles or challenges per se, and maybe they are struggles, I don't know. I don't know what's the right word, is, I'm coming into this, that the youngest kid that my wife and I share is 8. And like I said, our oldest is 21 and the next one, he's about to turn 19. And there's been a lot of challenges of me learning with all the various of, all our kids are different, 4 girls, 3 boys, very different personalities and different ages, of course. And me coming into it is like, I look at it as like, I'm on year 8 of experience, which is nothing. My wife's on year 21 and I'm on year 8, and I'm trying to figure out how to not only be a better, dad, and learning with our younger kids and being there from the beginning, but now what can I do for, our oldest son, who's, 18, going to be graduating, going out in the world. I'm like, gosh, I feel so far behind the curve on what I can be doing to help him. And yeah, as a blended family, there's a lot of different dynamics there, and I feel there's not enough on that specific thing that we talked about too. So I was like, gosh, I want to connect with more dads and talk about these things. And there's a lot of good dad information out there and how to be a better dad and a husband and a better man yourself. But there's also things that don't talk about blended families and the struggles that you face there. And, how do we overcome these things? And, hey, I tried this didn't work. So I'm going to try and keep this brief on some things. And another catalyst was a book that I got right here called Raising a Modern Day Knight. Because I want to not only set a good example and raise our boys into be young men and set a good example and, do something great in this world and be productive in society, whatever you want to call it, but also raising our daughters, in a great way of showing them what a caring man is, what they should look for somebody in their life, and, respect for themselves and demanding respect for others. So that's where a lot of this started from. And I'm going to film some of this stuff daily and talk about some of these things. I first was starting to do it as a vlog of, here's what I go through as my day. And it just kind of, didn't quite hit me. And what I think I'm going to do is just talk about, sometimes I'll do these in the mornings, sometimes I'll do in the evenings or the afternoons. Might do it once, might do it multiple times and put them together in one episode. But really kind of what I think I'm going to do is talk about some of if there's something that happens in my day that I feel I need to bring up and talk about that I'm struggling with, or that was a great success, or these things that I'm reading in this book now, talk about those. So that's what I'm going to talk about right now. Let me find the page that I was on, because there's so many things to talk about in here. And this is a great book. I highly recommend it. It does have a lot of stuff that is faith-based, but I wouldn't say if that's not your style, please don't let that scare you away, because I'm not extremely huge on faith-based, and I don't really know. I don't know what's out there. I've got lots of questions that haven't been able to be answered. But I think with all the stuff that's in this, you can replace, the scriptures or God or any of that stuff with just life in general, and the basis of everything that's in there. Sorry, the camera's talking. The basis of what everything's in there and what this book is teaching are all guiding principles, no matter what, if it's related to God or some other bigger purpose than yourself. So what I want to talk about here, it's talking about a code of conduct, and this was number 4 in part of it, of what a father needs to do with his son. And it really hit for me, and I'll kind of go on why. So a father reinforces the will to obey through affirmation, attention, and discipline. As I've talked to many men and their dads over the years, one thing continually surfaces. Most men say their father's approach to right and wrong was primarily to punish and belittle them for what they did wrong, not to praise or encourage them for what they did right. Discipline was rarely positive. Most often it was, you screwed up, why can't you make better grades, you're grounded for a month, clean your room, you're always late, etc. It's a familiar pattern and one that's hard to change. Sons receive their dad's harshness usually at the end of a long workday, but rarely their patient instruction, focused attention, and consistent affirmation. When a son does something right, the wise father praises his character as well as his behavior. When he does something wrong, the father takes time to correct and instruct first, disciplining only as a last resort. A godly example, teachable moments, inspiring stories, positive affirmation. Those were all of them that it talked about. So those are saying that those are a dad's greatest asset. Excuse me, getting over a cold. And raising their son. And that one really hit me because I didn't have a lot of that growing up. And I'll have another episode, talking maybe about some of those things and how our past can really define of what we do as parents, and how we only rise to the level of our training and practice. And that's usually how parenting goes. And that's how I've been a lot, was like, oh, if you're not doing this, where you're grounded. And I've had a bad habit of going into those things of like, I've told you this before, where now when I read that, the light bulb went off of really looking at how can I use these as teachable moments. And I'm learning on different ages and things of how to turn those into teachable moments. Sometimes you got to let it calm down, then come back into it and talk and teach in that level of a 6-year-old is going to be different than an 18 or 19-year-old, let's say, for example, or a 13-year-old or a 16-year-old. They're all going to be very different. But instead of, for me, it used to be going straight to those things. Oh, you did this wrong, you're grounded. And it's not really teaching anything. When you sit and you think about it, like, what is that doing besides taking something away? And it's not to say that there aren't, consequences. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. And that's part of teaching too. But if it's only going to that, which is what I've been doing a lot of, is it doesn't teach, or if I do that and then try to use it as a teachable moment, those things are gone, and my kids aren't going to focus on those things. So I very much tried to, calm down, take a step back, even though I've wanted to be like, hey, no. And there are times where I'm like, oh, that's an instant, like, nope, hit to the red line. Not red line as like anger or anything like that, but like red line, like, nope, you need to take a break. You're going to your room. That was not okay. And then talk to them. But I think most situations are using it as a teachable moment of, hey, here's why we wouldn't, or what would you feel? So one of my kids, I tell them, like, how would you feel if your siblings or a friend talked to you or did that to you? I'm like, oh, I wouldn't like it. I'm like, okay, well, think about that. How do you think that makes them feel? And can avoid a lot of the consequences and things in a way. And then also getting better at praising, when they are doing things nice to each other, and they are being more empathetic to their brothers or sisters, or they're taking action to help somebody or to just do the right thing, praising that stuff more. And even if they do something wrong, have a teachable lesson and then praise them for that as well. So that's what I've got for you guys today. I thought that was awesome. I've got a ton of other stuff with this book I've been reading. And like I said, each day I'll kind of talk some more on things that stood out to me personally, for me, and hopefully it does for you, you know. And if there's also other things, like I said, that happen in my daily life that I'm like, gosh, I just need to talk about this, and maybe I won't be the only one that's like deals with that, and maybe somebody else will have an answer that I don't, and we can use this as a way to share. So awesome, guys, really appreciate it. Make sure to follow all this if you're watching on YouTube, you know, like, subscribe. I don't know where I might post this on Facebook and stuff too. And if you do, well, cool, follow along and check out the other ones, you know, and let me know in the comments below, you know, if any of this hit with you or, you know, any of that stuff. So awesome. See you guys.